Hey y'all, it's your girl Meesh West Coast and cousins. We are back with another episode. We are inching into season 3, and this episode is titled, y'all read the title, but why do we stay in platonic relationships too long? Friendships, platonic encounters, why do we do it too long? But before we get into the episode, we gotta create the vibe. So we're gonna light our candle, we're gonna get into our drink of the episode, and we're gonna vibe. So let's go ahead and get our candle lit. Make sure you guys light your candle. I know I be asking y'all to do a lot of stuff, huh? Make your drink, light your candle, vibe with me. So just unpacking a little bit of tonight's episode, just talking about something we don't really discuss enough. When friendships run their course, I think that is something we need to talk about, especially as we go into growing and elevating and really just standing in our purpose. Cousins, we have to shed light to the situations that no longer deserve our attention anymore. So why do we hold on for so long? Why are we struggling to walk away, even when the energy is shifted? We're unpacking that all today. So, like I said, grab your glass, light your candle, cousin, because that's the thing. And we are going to vibe out, okay? So, the drink of tonight's episode is the Hard Truth. So, this is a drink featuring some black tea, some dark rum. Well, we've got light rum today because the dark rum, I'm not going to lie, I think I probably just don't know enough about rum. So if you're a rum connoisseur, drop me some tips in the comments because I was looking for a dark rum and quite frankly, they were a little too dark to me. It's a little scary. So I kept the light rum. And then we've got some citrus just to kind of dress her up a little bit. I've got a splash of vanilla just because the black tea we're using is a vanilla chai. And I thought we would dress her up and make her sweet. And then we have a little splash of honey and so we're going to vibe. So let's go ahead and get into the drink of the episode. Y'all, I brought out the shaker because I just felt like, why wouldn't we shake her up, right? So let's get into this dark black tea. So I got a vanilla chai black tea. Black tea is going to be good for its caffeine properties, going to keep you awake. Not as strong as a shot of espresso, not as strong as white tea, but yeah, if you want to stay awake, get you some black tea. So I've got about 3.5, almost 4 ounces of the dark tea, the black tea. So I'm going to pour her in, and I've got about 3.5 ounces of rum. We're not going to put all this in the drink, cousins, unless you want to be toe up. It's only Wednesday, so I have work tomorrow. You should have work tomorrow. Please don't get too toe up. So I'm only going to put in about 2 ounces of it. And I have some lemon juice to kind of sour her back out. I don't want her too sweet because we do have the vanilla extract that we are going to add in, just a teaspoon of that. And we have a little bit of simple syrup, about 2 teaspoons of that. So we are going to put our shaker on. And y'all, don't act like you forgot in season 2, just because it's season 3 now. Make sure your shaker top is on all the way. And we are going to shake her. Okay? Just want to make sure. Shake what you got in them jeans. Then grab the wall and shake it like a dog. Shake what you got in them jeans. Then grab the wall and shake it like a dog. So y'all, we wait for our ancestors to what? Tell us when to stop, okay? So we are going to grab our glass of ice. And our fun straw. I'm going to go ahead and garnish her and get her dressed before we pour her in. I want all my citrus elements in. So I've got a lime wheel, I've got a lemon wheel, and I've got an orange. I've gotten it stuck in there. So we'll go ahead and add those in, and we are gonna pour. Ooh, try not to spill, guys. Okay, we pretty much filled the glass, so. Ooh, yes. Feel free to add more or less liquor to it. You actually don't even have to make it with liquor. It's really refreshing. Like I said, I did a black tea, vanilla chai tea. Y'all, that's a good drink, okay? So, we're sipping on the hard truth. Strong, sweet, a little bitter, but sometimes that's the representation of a hard truth. Sometimes the deliverance might be sweet, the message might be strong, and the contents of it may be a little hard to handle, but that's the hard truth. At least you were honest, right? Yeah. So I want you guys, as you guys build out your drink, to just kind of think about other ingredients that represent strength, but also peace. So, like I said, I feel like citruses are very strong, pungent in taste, but very still peaceful. Like when I smell orange, when I smell lemon, it reminds me of peaceful moments, a clean house, my grandma's lemon tree back home in California, like in the summer, like just reminds me of peace, that nostalgia. What other flavors symbolize the refreshing side and healing to you? So to me, mint. We've got things like honey, the light sweet, still refreshing, still healthy for you. I also think things like the chai. The chai can be still very refreshing. I feel like chai resembles clove to me, and clove kind of reminds me of like Thanksgiving. Like if you ever grew up and your grandma like put not chive, clove in her ham, that's what that reminds me of. So like my grandma was always very like a breath of fresh air to me, so that's just where I kind of equate that to. And then a fun name. Like, obviously, this is the hard truth, but like, what about other fun names? What if we spun this and we were on the brighter side, the more refreshing side, and it's not necessarily a hard truth, but we were able to surpass that hard conversation. So I want you guys to think about that. Drop those names for the drink in the comment. We might have to switch the name up. You never know. So I used to be the queen of holding on to friendships that really had already ran their course. Like, I convinced myself that the history meant this friendship is supposed to be forever. But I ignored the fact that the energy just no longer was the same. The support was inconsistent, and honestly, it was starting to be draining. Like, I'm pouring more into this friendship than it's actually worth at the end of the day. And having those conversations they can be hard for you, especially when you're going through this realm of healing where it gets a little lonely. Sometimes you will gravitate to things just based off the longevity of having it. So don't feel afraid to kind of progress beyond that. That's what's needed. So I had to ask myself, like, what is the reason I keep this friendship afloat? It's no longer serving me. And I also might be scared to let it go. Again, afraid of being lonely. So, cousins, we're going to talk about why you are holding on to friendships out of love or out of obligations that just no longer serve you. So, friendships, they're supposed to evolve, right? They're supposed to evolve, but ultimately, just like our last week's episode, success guilt. If it is no longer serving the purpose or the future that you are leading yourself into, it might be time to let it go. It might be time to reassess what type of people you actually have around you. If they're no longer surrounding your growth, if they're no longer if you don't see them in your future, in your next 5 years, in your next 10 years, it might be time to remove them. And that's okay, cousin. It does not make you a bad person. So sometimes they fade, and instead of accepting that, we force it. But why? Why do we force it? Because we've been taught that letting go is cold or mean or dysfunctional or toxic. But let me tell you something. Protecting your peace is not selfish. Again, cousins, we're going to address selfishness and what it actually means to be selfish, because sometimes people confuse that word. But here's why we hold on too long. So we hold on to situations that no longer serve us because we bond over trauma. We are fixated on the fact that the years that we've put into these things make up forever, but that's not always true. And not necessarily just friendships. We're talking about platonic relationships. If this situation is no longer serving you, it is time to reassess who you have in your life and in your circle. If it comes out that only you are the person standing in this circle, don't think that you're wrong. You're not wrong. Your growth doesn't always go along with everybody. Sometimes you're going to outgrow your family. Sometimes you're going to outgrow your friends. Sometimes your parents are the people you outgrow. Your siblings are the people you outgrow because they don't agree with your growth, or they're not quite there yet. Spare them. Spare them and give them their time to grow. It is not for you to teach them the growth. It is for that lesson to come when that lesson is permitted, okay? So don't forget that. So y'all know the vibes, though. We're about to get in our messy steps. So I'm going to read some situations and you tell me, is this real healing or just avoidance? So you cut people off but never actually address what went wrong. Is that healing or hiding? That is hiding, and this is a situation that I am way too familiar with. I do not like confrontation, so my reaction to confrontation is just avoidance. I won't deal with it. I know, because I feel like I don't have to. So it later on will present the fact that I probably should have dealt with it then, later on in my life. So I don't always recommend doing what I do by avoiding. You sometimes need to address those situations so that it doesn't have to come up later on, or the situation doesn't have to be more progressed than it was when it initially presented itself, for you to actually learn that lesson. So a lot of my lessons I learned on the back end just because I feel like they came up again. So I feel like now it's time for me to learn the lesson. Don't be me, guys. I'm being transparent here. Do not be me. If that situation is coming up, address it. Handle it then. Don't always not avoid it just because you don't want to deal with confrontation. So, number 2, you start therapy, you actually do the work, and you hold yourself accountable. Is this healing or hiding? This is healing. This too, I also am familiar with. My first few years of therapy, I felt like I was going to go into it like not really like willing to open up, but the therapist that I had was very transparent, and she was very fixated on the fact that she wanted to get to know me. She did not want to just project. She did not want to just introduce medicine right away to me. She really wanted to get to know me before she started to just dissect my whole life. And for that, I greatly appreciate her because I was able to open up and feel a little bit more comfortable with that. So therapy in its first few years were very beneficial to me. So I feel like that is healing. That actually sparked me wanting to progress with actually learning how to heal myself mentally and help myself get to a greater understanding of what growth and improvement really was in my life. So that's healing. So number 3, you ghost someone instead of having a tough conversation. Healing or hiding? Again, cousins, this is my lane. Your cousin avoids things, okay? There's no hiding that. I avoid things. If I am ghosting you, chances are you probably did something I don't feel like I need to address, nor do I feel like I want to address it. But how will you know how to progress in that situation if I don't bring it to you? So that's avoidance. You don't want to do that. That's hiding. You want to give that person that chance to heal, okay? If ever the opportunity is presenting itself for you to give a person a chance to heal, allow that. Don't be me. So number 4, you stop dating and say it's self-care, but really you just don't want to get hurt again. Is that healing or hiding? That, cousins, I paused when I said that because, again, things I'm all too familiar with. The toxic, unhealed portion of me wants to say that that is healing. Sparing yourself. But what does that lead to long term? Are you going to be single for the rest of your life? Probably, if that's your mentality. And women, don't you get in my comments with all the, don't do it. Don't do it. I'm talking about healing, okay? Just because you don't want to get your heart broke, you have to heal from these avenues. You cannot expect that same behavior out of everybody. You have to give yourself a chance to heal your heart so that the next situation you are prepared for. So I am going to say that is definitely hiding. If you are trying to avoid getting your heart broke, unfortunately, you don't really get that chance. If you really still do want love and you still want a family and you still want these things, you have to go through sparing your heart. You have to go through understanding your heart may be broken, and that is okay. That's okay. It may take that in order for you to find the love that you really want, in order for you to find what you really want out of a partner. I've had my heart broke, cousin. You're not alone. So we talk about healing like it's all facets and therapy and protecting our energy, but like, to be real, healing, it gets ugly. It gets ugly and it gets uncomfortable. It's real work. So just because we are stepping into these realms and we are understanding what healing is, we also have to understand what type of people we are involving ourselves with, or the type of people we have around us. And just because we have years in with a person does not make them necessary for our future. Okay? Just because we have years in with a person does not make them necessary for our future. You see how I said that twice? That's an important key. And that's something you should always remember in your life. Years don't mean stability. Years don't mean success. Years don't mean forever. Okay? Never forget that. So let's break it down. So healing, again, it's not just positive vibes. It's unfortunately losing people. So when you start growing and your friendships, you guys no longer share the same common interests. Like, that's supposed to happen. That shift is supposed to happen. Some people won't make it to the next level with you. Again, what did I say last episode? What did Nipsey say? Circle got smaller. Everybody can't go. Okay? Sometimes you may look at your circle and all you got is you. That does not mean you downplay your success. That does not mean you don't reassess who you have around you. Sometimes your season might just be for you. Your season might include you just growing. And that's okay. Facing your own BS. You got to acknowledge where you're the problem. Season 2, episode 9, are you the problem? Sometimes you guys need to kind of be a little self-aware. I asked that on an Instagram story post, like, how self-aware are you? A lot of my followers said they still need to grow up. And cousin, there's no stunning you. There's no stunning you. I have no judgment to place on you, because there's parts of me and there's portions of me that still also need to grow up. There is parts and portions of your peers, your family members, your mom and your dad that still need to grow up. So don't feel like you are the only one still in this season. Don't feel like everyone is progressing and leaving you behind because you still feel like you need to grow up. It's okay. We still may need to grow. So sometimes we gotta let go of what's comfortable. The hardest part of losing people is losing the old version of yourself. And the gag is that's when you're growing, cousin. Like if you and your people no longer are like vibing like you guys once more, you guys no longer have the same common interests, chances are one of you guys is progressing in the manner that you guys are supposed to be progressing in. That's not wrong either. So here are some key takeaways of tonight's episode. So hear me out. Friendships are meant for a season, not a lifetime. That's okay. That's okay, cousin. Cousins last forever. But real friends match your energy and they don't drain it. Time does not equal loyalty. Effort does. So what did I say? Time in with a person does not mean forever. That does not mean success. That doesn't mean longevity. The effort does. The effort they put in to still involve themselves around you. Not the mooching energy, but the genuine, like they want to be like you or they want to get to the heights that you're in. You're inspiring to them. Those are the people that you need to still include in your circle. You're allowed to outgrow people and let the guilt go. What did we talk about last episode, cousins? Survival or success guilt. It's okay. Like everybody's lessons is not learned at the same time. Their success is not dependent on your work. So don't let that stunt you either. If you've done the work and you're living in your success, own that. You are not responsible for that next person's though. At the end of the day, people are going to be truly who they are. And they will love you and grow with you and not resent you for changing. So guilt, kind of let it go, okay? We can't feel bad for walking away even when the friendship is no longer mutual or the vibe is no longer mutual. We've got to let go of our comfort zones. We've got to step out of there. If we don't make ourselves uncomfortable, how will we be willing to accept change? We keep people around because they're familiar, not because they're good for us. So don't fall victim to that. Loyalty versus obligation. We mistake time for value. Just because someone was there in the past don't mean they belong in your future. Don't forget that. So I asked people on Instagram if they ever stayed in a relationship for too long, and here are a few of the responses. So one person said, once I realized I was always the one checking in, I had to fall back. And they never noticed. So the fact that they fell back, have you ever seen people say, I stopped hitting people up because I realized if they didn't, we would never talk? Maybe you should try that. If you stop hitting people up, how much would you talk to them? Try it, cousin. I used to hold on to friendships that were no longer serving me. Now, I protect my peace, and peace is top priority. I'm living in this era right now, and I'm going through the fact that I'm outgrowing people, and the old version of me is not what they're getting anymore. So now, I don't really have that many people anymore, right? So my peace is literally more important to me than work, than school. Like it is top priority for me. If you disrupt my peace, you will be removed from my life. Point blank, period. I don't have no time, no tolerance for it. I've had my peace disrupted on so many different levels and so many different occasions that I know that I'm responsible for my peace. So the moment I let you disrupt that, I'm no longer in control of what has my peace. That's a problem to me, so I don't allow it from others. So, cousin, don't fall victim. So another person said, I outgrew some people and at first it hurt, but now I'm thriving without the dead weight. That again kind of corresponds to the last one that I read, just protecting my peace and it being top priority. So understanding what peace is and how to get to it, right? Like I said at the in season 2, peace is something that you create. It is not something that is just at it's not at your leisure. If you don't create, we don't live in a world where peace is just at our leisure. I mean, you can find ways of finding peace at your leisure, but it's still a vibe you create. So if you're not able to create those vibes, if you're not able to sustain what peace means to you, cousin, what are we talking about? What are we talking about? You might need to go and reassess getting into nature and really just finding out who you are before you start to understand where your peace is thriving from. So this is why we have to be honest about who we are, who's in our circle, and who we truly are involving ourselves with and the things that matter to us. So, cousins, I hope this episode reminded you guys that healing it's not always cute, but it's worth it. Don't give up when it gets uncomfortable just because you outgrow a couple people or just because they can't necessarily fit in with your new vibes anymore. It's okay. And next week we're going to be talking about love or trauma bonding, and a lot of friendships and platonic relationships are built on just those two factors, right? A lot of it is a result of trauma bonding. So we're going to go into how to tell the difference, and just because some of you guys think you're in love, you might not be in love. Some of you guys think this is your bestie, bookie butt, all the stuff, but y'all might be bonding off trauma, and we need to break that cycle as well. So until next time, do the work, face your demons, and stop playing with yourself, cousin. I love you guys to death. I will see you guys next week for another episode of Spill It with Meesh.